To all of you out there with birthdays today, we have a special treat for you.
Happy, happy birthday. We're so glad you came. Happy, happy birthday from the Shoney's gang. We know that you're excited. We know that we are too. Happy, happy birthday from the Shoney's crew.
And they did the same thing for Ryan's Steakhouse because it would just be happy, happy birthday. We're so glad that you came. Happy, happy birthday from the Ryan's gang.
Like, Ryan's was like the Dollar General version of Golden Corral.
And that's the Dollar General version of food.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say.
So Ryan's was like Dollar Tree buffet as opposed to
delicious.
So what would that make Shoney's though?
Shoney's is closed for renovations.
Gutter fish. Shoney's
It's gonna be so nice.
The Shoney's in our town. As soon as it went up as closed for renovation, I pointed at the sign and I went, "That's a lie. They're done forever."
It's been what, 10 years now they've been renovating.
Yes.
That's bullshit, and that's
I
going to be
have occasionally seen a dumpster in the parking lot and trucks and people going in and out. Something is happening over there.
Maybe it's going to be Shoney's of the future. Maybe they're two
Shoney's 2?
Yeah, TOO.
The squeakle? So, just because no one can say otherwise, this episode brought to you by the Cookville Shoney's. Hey everybody, I'm Dane Holland.
I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer.
And I'm Austin Tiny Zent.
And we are Nerded Through the Grapevine, the podcast where 4 best friends normally, 3 best friends today, gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture. And ooh boy, is there a big stink in the air.
Boy, is there.
I can smell it from a mile away, and it's been going on for a couple weeks now. I would say maybe even 3.
Yeah, it's 3 pushing 4.
Yeah,
4 is crowning.
More and more keeps coming out about the situation, and more people are speaking up about it. And that thing is the Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons open gaming license.
Yeah. It is a perfect shitstorm, really, if you want to get down to it.
It really is.
Wizards is owned by Hasbro. That is now the parent company. They are pushing for profits. Their margins are not where they want them to be. They've already goofed with Magic to the point where people don't want to play it, really.
Mm-hmm.
That has become a $1 billion IP for them. They're wanting more $1 billion IPs. They're getting rid of their lower income IPs and focusing on the bigger ones. And they're trying to make D&D the next one. Their goal in the next year is to break $1 billion in total. I don't remember the exact numbers, so I'm not even going to mention
a bunch
numbers.
of money.
A bunch of monies. Yeah. Like if you had a truck and you filled the truck with monies, you would need a truck that can house trucks.
Yes.
So you can do the math.
A boat truck might do the trick.
Oh yes.
Don't touch the trim.
There's so much. We're gonna hit some of the highlights or lowlights rather of this because there's a lot of information. A channel on YouTube that I follow called D&D Shorts. That's a D, a N, and a D Shorts. He breaks it down very plainly in a series of videos. He has actually been in contact with several Wizards employees from base level to, I wouldn't say management, but like team leaders. It's all done very anonymously. He's vetted them that they are who they say they are, and he's brought lawyers in to help decipher some legal languages and kind of keep him in the realm of getting in trouble. So it's very good information. I suggest everybody that is interested in this or even that plays Dungeons and Dragons go watch these videos. They are very informative.
Well, just a real quick question. Mm-hmm. Was the whole reasoning for them doing this with their licensing for their property and stuff just to try to milk money off of everybody else? That's like streaming.
That is exactly what it is.
And making money off of like playing their game and having people watch them and things things along those lines. So that's an untapped resource for them as a business, but the way they're going about it is about to be explained, but pretty crappy.
Right, because D&D has been one of the few remaining things that have been safe from this whole get as much money as humanly possible from whatever IP that you own, and it doesn't matter the quality of it, it doesn't matter anything, just make money off of it and then eventually dump it for the next big thing.
Yes.
D&D has been safe from that because it is a creative thing. Like Wizards provides you with source books and mechanics and things, and the people that buy these materials, they're the ones making all the stories.
Yeah.
Like you can set out like an adventure, like they have the modules, like the stories and stuff D&D comes out with, but the average D&D player just comes up with their own stories using all of D&D's mechanics and lore and stuff. So like the power to the players thing for gaming, I don't even remember which company it was that did that, but that's kind of been what D&D is. Like the power of Dungeons and Dragons exists in the community, in the players.
Yeah, it's been a very symbiotic relationship up until now, because the resurgence in the popularity of Dungeons and Dragons itself is inherently due to these third-party companies and people putting out their own game online to watch and enjoy, like Adventure Zone, Critical Role, all the other insert one you like.
Right.
It's been a mutually beneficial thing because the people using Dungeons and Dragons as the basis for their creation is making money and getting popular, which is in turn free advertising for Dungeons and Dragons themselves. The two people that are really responsible for this are Cynthia Williams, who is the CEO of Wizards of the Coast, now known as Wizards of the Coast, if you ask me.
Rightfully so.
Yes.
And Chris Cao, CAO, the VP of Digital. They are the two people that's spearheading this whole big push. Cynthia Williams is the one quoted with saying that customers are the obstacle between them and their money. Ugh. And she also has been quoted with saying that Dungeons and Dragons is... what's the exact word she used?
I think I have it in here too. Undermonetized.
Undermonetized, yeah. So the original OGL, the OG OGL, if you will.
OGL standing for?
Open Gaming License.
There you go.
Stated that, people could use their resources to make their own third-party things, be it like companion books, modules, so on and so forth. All these things.
400 pages of examples of all the stuff people can use to make money themselves if they want. Just make whatever content that you want to. And let's see, anyone could use without any special permission or contracts needed. Fans were allowed to create their own games, adventures, character items, and creatures that were explicitly compatible with D&D and sell that work for money.
Yes, and I just want to clarify that we are not lawyers.
No.
We are not giving legal advice.
I don't know shit about
We are just talking about something that is happening. So do your own research. Please don't sue us, WotC.
Yes.
That out of the way.
Yeah, I got a lot of my info from a website called Gizmodo. They deal in a lot of like common news and stuff in nerd culture, a lot of stuff that we like. And like Tiny, you said you got yours a lot from the D&D Shorts YouTube channel.
Yes.
Which what we need, because we don't know shit about legal wording and stuff.
We, in fact, do not know shit about dick.
No, yeah, exactly. Nothing. So we need places like this to explain this stuff to us and for us to be able to trust them on their information, because like the YouTube guy that does that channel, he counts on people trusting him in order for his channel to continue making him money.
Absolutely.
So he is a source that his livelihood is at stake if he does not tell as much of the truth that he knows on the matter. And Gizmodo, as far as them trying to report this stuff, they're in kind of the same boat. But the original one, it protected the original license, the agreement. It protected players from the company getting their fingers involved in what they're creating. And it's something that's been it's the lifeline of D&D is being able to use what they gave you to be able to make money. And there's so many channels, and like we mentioned, the Adventure Zone, the McElroy brothers. Ever since they've been doing that, that's something they can sell out an arena or whatever, not an arena, but a venue for people to come watch them play D&D with these characters that they've made with this original license that allows them to do so.
Yeah, and Critical Role, another prime example. They've made a show with Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
and
Machina.
books, Vox Machina,
which they just released a new season of Vox Machina. So that's something we'll have to dig into as well, is actually get into watching that new season, because Vox Machina is uber entertaining.
It is so good, especially if you're a fan of them. But the problem lies is the OGL, the new one, the 1.1, which we're not even got to 2.0 yet. 1.1, they're now trying to say was a rough draft. And inside of it said that these creators would have to either cease and desist all production of their things, or pay them a royalty upwards of 25 to 35%. Retroactively. So not moving forward, not if you do anything new, before the entirety of what you have made and created and already released.
And they had
headhunter shit.
A lot of these third-party publishers and people, content creators, the big ones, like maybe 20 of them, they had them sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, on this draft of this thing. So that's where some people were like, well, it's been leaked and it's not been officially put out. So Wizards, a few of them were like, well, that's not, that's just leaked stuff. That's not all real. Like, well, that's not actually what it is. You don't have people sign an NDA on something that's just talk.
Exactly.
It's just like, we don't know if this is real or not.
The employees that have talked to, I can never remember the guy's name, but the fella from D&D Shorts said that wasn't a draft, that was the official document. In order to read it, they had to sign the NDA, and until they did, they were supposed to cease and desist. And then they come along with OGL 2.0, which they backpedaled a lot. They said, "Oh, we're not going to charge you royalties anymore. We're not. Oh, sorry, that was in the draft. I don't know how that got in there. That's our bad. That was a typo." But in order to be eligible to sign OGL 2.0, they had to sign the 1.1. So they were bound to that before they could even move on to this. And the whole push is to drive everyone to D&D Beyond, which, if you're unaware, D&D Beyond itself was a third-party thing. It had nothing to do with Wizards. Wizards had acquired it. They made a few changes, but the push now is to get everyone to go into their subscription service, which if you read what Chris Cowell was wanting to do with that, it is the capabilities that they were wanting, I will say, is good. In order to access them, it's real bad, cowboy.
Paywall.
So much, and microtransactions.
Yeah, because I have a D&D Beyond. I no longer pay a subscription to it. I might pay a subscription to it. I'm really bad at managing what I have subscriptions to.
I don't think you do. I think you have the freebie.
Okay, because the D&D Beyond, though, they would be so vast in your options for things you would use, but then you'd click into something, you're like, oh, I'm wanting to see, deeper inside of this monster manual, like what the effect of this spell's going to have. Sure, you can get into that monster manual, $5.
Yeah, to see that one thing. Yeah, so many microtransactions.
Your subscription doesn't even give you access to the books within it.
No, it just gives you access to click and give your money to them because they have your card information.
I forgot to mention what Chris Cowell's role is in all of this. He's the VP of Dungeons & Dragons Digital. So he's the one that's now behind D&D Beyond and what's going to be the one D&D. He's wanting to charge more money at the different subscription tiers starting at $30 a month
for D&D,
for Dungeons and Dragons, and to play one D&D, $30 a month
for a system in which you're having to still plug in all your own information and do everything yourself. You have to pay $30 just to have this non-paper version.
Yes, you're not even getting access to all the source materials. That's where the microtransactions come in.
Wait, $30 is the base before anything else is unlocked now?
Yeah, that doesn't even unlock everything. To unlock different source materials, such as just one at random, the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, you have to pay extra for that. And you'll have to pay extra for cosmetics, for attacks, for spells. Your spells, your basic spells, how your character functions, you will have to pay individually for some of these, in addition to the $30 a month.
So what would initially cost somebody to join a D&D campaign being pen and paper and a little imagination, because most likely somebody's already bought these books. Somebody's found the books, they've got the books, they're using the books, and they're the DM. Ha-ha! That's... So,
yeah, tell me about it.
Hi, Tiny. So that within itself is how a lot of people have played D&D, but they've gone to these digital sources as an ease of access and a more, in their way now, more eloquent way of doing stuff, because we're so used to digital everything. Like if I write something by hand, I'm not reading that.
Right.
So if I'm typing stuff and I'm plugging things in, that's what I'm used to. So now they're trying to monetize every little cent they can get out of that, just because that's what so many people have turned to play the game.
Yes. Dungeons and Dragons was originally a way to bring people together and to have a good time. What they're also pushing for at the upper tier, which, if I remember properly, is $50 a month. It allows people to play a DM-less game, which, if you ask me, is stupid. It's a, quote, AI DM. And
it's a video game.
Yeah, it makes it a video game and has an option for you to play by yourself, which, if you ask me, that defeats the whole purpose of Dungeons and Dragons. It's literally telling a fun adventure story with your friends.
And what sucks is, like, even in the past, one episode in the past, Tiny, you'd brought the open D&D thing to us, like this awesome idea, because being able to go online and play D&D is awesome for people that can't get together. You've got friends that have moved off other places. You've got people that have got insane schedules. You've got best friends that are on a podcast with you, that are about to have a baby, that are getting their master's degree, that are also teaching all at the same time.
Yeah, and that's one person.
That's one human being. So these...
and his wife.
Yes, correct. But them being able to join us digitally, it opens up the availability for the person, because you can't just travel to someone's house every time.
Exactly.
So the idea of this open D&D of, like, okay, we are going to take all these different things that you love to use for D&D, and we're going to put them in one place for you. So it's just a hamburger menu, click down, and you can go to your maps, to your characters, to everything that you need, to where you don't have to use all these other places, which the idea of that is so cool. And that's the thing, like, the idea behind what they have at least said that they want to do, or the idea behind the thing they are doing and making one D&D, is so good. And then money comes in and punches every single player in the face.
Yeah.
And there are some people that will pay this, because they're going after whales, which is what Magic has done.
Yeah.
They're like, people will pay the money for this because they're addicted to it. They know that people love D&D, just the idea of it. So there are people with the money that will still do this. But the amount of people that are going to drop off, it's already happened.
Oh, yeah, there are so many people canceling their subscriptions.
Yes.
Now, if you've paid for a year, you still have access to the platform for that year, but obviously after that, it will not renew. If you are a listener and you have a paid subscription for D&D Beyond, I'm going to respectfully ask you to cancel it.
Please do.
Because by still giving them that money, it's reinforcing that idea that we're fine with it, because honestly, this Chris Cow and Cynthia Williams, these people, they hate you and me and everyone else who loves this game. We are obstacles between them and our money. That was a stated quote from the vice president of Wizards of the Coast. And if that doesn't just make your skin crawl, nothing else will, and you should just stop listening to us forever.
Well, and I know there's some people, maybe not listening to us, but listening to the situation from outside of it that don't completely understand what's going on and don't play the game. They're hearing, okay, this company that a bunch of people are making money off of their property wants to see money back to them from it. Yes, that is exactly what a business should do. You should make money, but not if your original 23-year contract, the whole idea behind it has been, please use this for your own benefit, and we're both going to win. Yeah. If that wasn't there, if the original open gaming license didn't exist, all of this wouldn't be a big deal. It's just a company doing a company thing.
Correct.
But it's going against the entire spirit of the product. And that's why it's got everybody pissed off, because you've taken something that had this genuine way of enjoying it, and it's crushing it in their fist with dollar bills as much as they can. And that's why we're pissed. It's not because a company wants to make money. It's because a company had an agreement with all of their players that this is for you, and we get to make money off of it too. And that's why we're pissed off.
And what you should do is also take into consideration that the businesses that like we're talking about under the giant umbrella of Hasbro that's directing the whole thing, you're having an $8.75 billion company that's trying to milk us $1,000 like our the
$1,000 heirs, $100 heirs.
Yeah, the $100 heirs, the
$8 pocket dollar heirs.
Yeah, we've got
eight pocket dollars.
We've got $8 pocket dollars, and they're trying to do their best to milk everything they can out of that, just because they want that $9.75 billion. That's the only thing they want. When you have billions, you just want more.
That's not the kind of milking that I'm willingly going to participate in.
Absolutely not.
I'm just throwing that out.
I'm glad
the only bright spot that I can see in all of this chaos is it's going to allow the smaller guy to gain in popularity. Things like Pathfinder, Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf Forsaken, whatever other RPG system that you enjoy and you know about that very few other people do. They're going to get more popular because people are unfortunately burning their D&D books that they've already bought. They're completely leaving the community, which is sad.
But beautiful.
But also beautiful and poetic, because we're going to have a community, damn it, whether it's this game or another game. Yeah. We shall rise again. Unlike I'm not even going there, but you know what I'm saying. We're going to have a place for us that enjoys our company, and we will happily spend our money, and will treat us with a dignity and respect that we deserve as people.
What was amazing is after this 1.1 OGL leak of all the just awful stuff that they're wanting to do to the game, they were silent for like a week. They didn't say pretty much anything.
The funny thing is, as soon as everybody started making their videos about OGL 1.1, immediately they dropped 2.0. Immediately.
Yeah. And you mentioned Pathfinder. The publisher behind that's called Paizo. Paizo, that's how you pronounce it?
Yeah,
Paizo. And they put out a public statement and even posted a big thing on Reddit of what they're creating, because they're livid about this. They were a part, the person, like the founder of Paizo, was a part of the original OGL draft.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, well, the spirit of this thing, and we'll get into some legal wording here in a second, was for it never to go away. Like,
Pathfinder was like the baby that D&D birthed.
Yes.
It went on and did its own thing, but it still has traits from its parent.
Right. And
that's what this is.
They both improve each other's sales because it's tabletop RPG. Like it's people playing a same type of game. So both of them doing well, it's like when there's competition in something that you enjoy, it's a good thing for the customer because both of them are trying to create good products for people to buy from them. So with D&D and Pathfinder both working against each other, they're also working for one another, like just for the community in general. And I think it was D&D 4, like the 4th edition. When 4th edition came out, it was so hot garbage that everybody went Pathfinder. And Pathfinder sales were actually climbing up I think even higher than D&D's or
now,
close.
Right now, you cannot find a single Pathfinder source book. I know I was one of the people looking for one.
Because everybody's buying them now.
Yes.
Because they're abandoning D&D.
Yep.
But then D&D 5th edition came out after they actually listened to the player base, and they fixed a lot of the problems that they had with 4th edition, and the scales went back into D&D's favor. So Pathfinder was a little bit more under the radar than D&D, but now the scales have tipped just exponentially because D&D is shitting the bed in the way that they are. And so Paizo they've talked to over 1,500 companies that are involved with tabletop role-playing, and they have drafted something called the ORC, which is the Open RPG Creative License. So instead of the OGL, the Open Gaming License, they've created this thing called the ORC, which is amazing to name it, to be able to name it that. That's just them being brilliant. And they are doing everything possible to cement the fact legally, wording legally inside this thing, that it is concrete. It is forever. They want the spirit of tabletop RPG to continue. And so they're creating that ORC that all of these different companies and third-party producers of this content have agreed to and signed to and said, yes, we will move on from the OGL and we will go to the ORC. And that along with everybody bouncing off of their D&D Beyond subscriptions got to the point where D&D Wizards was like, okay, well, we got to scrap 1.1 because they weren't going to. They were saying there was some quotes that I believe that Gizmodo had gotten to where it was from Wizards of the Coast management had told employees that fans were overreacting and felt it would blow over in a few months.
Yeah.
Whenever they first released this information, or it was leaked.
Let's stab all of our customers in the collective crotch.
Yes.
And they'll just forget about it. It's what's the term? Stockholm syndrome. That's what they were going for.
And that didn't happen because they immediately started seeing money loss.
Oh, yeah.
From all these people leaving it. And they realized, oh, wait, people aren't overreacting. They're just reacting.
Yeah, it's a mass exodus.
And
it's simple math. I mean, I think that I think that, it's X plus Y equals Z. Your X is going to be what you did. Your Y is going to be what the reaction is. And the equal is going to be the aftermath. And the aftermath is you screwed up. Mm-hmm. You're going to lose a bunch of fans. And you're no longer going to be the once prominent company that you thought that you were. It's overreach, company overreach, trying to just big business overreach. God, it's the world we live in. Is big business overreach and microtransaction. It's just all that it is. It was fine for a minute. We let it live, and then it became a monster.
It became not something a few did. It became the model. That's where we're living. That became the model, is microtransaction. Yeah. The nickel and diming people for everything that they have.
Mm-hmm. And it's in a video game. I mean, it's moved to video games where battle passes, they'll give you a game for free, but if you want good stuff in it, here you got to pay money every month to be able to get it, basically. And with the original agreement, so some people after this had come out, they were like, well, legally, I don't think they can get rid of it because inside the original Open Gaming License, it was written that it is perpetual. Like in the original wording, the legal wording in the thing was, this agreement is perpetual. It will continue. It will always be there. But legal wording has changed since it was made, and the only word that makes something not be able to be changed is irrevocable. So the word perpetual was used and not irrevocable, and now they can revoke it. They can change it.
Well, it's going to boil down to a class action suit, which is already in play. A lot of the bigger third parties have banded together to sue Wizards. And if you ask me, if they appear before a judge that has any common sense, they're going to read that original OGL and go, look at Wizards and say, you don't have a leg to stand on. Mm-hmm. You know what this document meant. It doesn't matter that the word is technically not, the correct wording. You know what it means. Mm-hmm. So we're going to reword this to actually represent what you know that it is.
Right. And there's the former vice president of Wizards named Ryan Dancy. They have been very vocal about what's going on because they no longer work for the company, so they no longer have a say in what's going on. But they've been quoted saying, "Yeah, my public opinion is that Hasbro does not have the power to deauthorize a version of the OGL. If that had been a power that we wanted to reserve for Hasbro, we would have enumerated it in the license. I'm on record in numerous places in email and blogs and interviews saying that the license could never be revoked." So, but that's not legally binding. That's just somebody saying like the spirit of this whole thing, and even the way we worded it at the time, which I think should be a big thing in the legal case of it, is
Absolutely.
At the time of creation, this is what it meant. But I don't know if that wording had changed and maybe gone under the radar to where they couldn't go back and change it. But my guess is whenever the word from perpetual was able to be used became irrevocable is the new word for it. My guess is even if they did find that out, at that point of the company, they were like, well, let's not change it to irrevocable because we may want to change this at some point, which was totally new people, which was people that, they see that and they're like, well, we didn't write this. We may want to change it at some point. So I don't know. That's speculation on my part.
Yeah, I don't think it was that nefarious. But I feel like that they wanted to get a piece of the pie that everybody else was baking. And so they contacted lawyers and said, "Hey, here's what we have. What can we do to get a slice of what they got?"
Right.
And they'll see their day in court. And I just hope that that goes so bad for them in court, trying to, prove that they deserve to, take what was originally available on an open scale for people and charge them every nickel and dime they can for them. I hope that the judge reacts so poorly to that they throw it out, and then that way Curtis Armstrong can come along later on and play a judge on TV that's trying the D&D case. If you don't know Curtis Armstrong, he was I think Booger off of the Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, and he was also the principal on New Girl and a bunch of other stuff. But that's his thing. Johnny Thunder on that 70s show. He's always been this D&D guy. Like that's been him in every character he's ever played. It's always like some little hint of, well, we're going to have a rousing game of Dungeons and Dragons later if you'd like to be a part of it. I'd love to see him just slam the gavel down and be like, you're thrown out. This is awful.
And a couple of more, like just things about 1.1, the OGL, that the change that they were making. The new OGL sub-licensing language could have made it so that Wizards would have direct access to all commercialized products that use their open gaming license. And they would have control over the content that was produced under it as well, regardless of whether or not they owned it.
Yeah. So basically, they own it.
They own it.
But not really, but they own it.
Yeah, they had no hand in the creation of it besides, you using the OGL, but it's theirs now.
Yeah.
And they would also have introduced monetary restrictions on licensed content creators, introducing a 25% royalty fee on all revenues in excess of $750,000, which I know is maybe, I think I saw on the list, like there's maybe 20 different, companies out there or third-party people that make that much money off the product. But that doesn't matter. Like it's still pissing off everybody else that has there's no way they're going to make money off of it. It's the spirit behind it.
Yeah, well, not only that, if they tax them that heavily with that royalty, some of those companies will not be able to afford that.
No.
So then there's the loss of these people's livelihood and their jobs, and that's going to trickle down, I mean, what about their spouses and their children and their dogs and their cats and whatever other pets that they have? It's going to affect so many people's lives. And in a way, I hate to say don't support Wizards anymore, because on the same token, there's a bunch of really good people that are working for Wizards that hate this every bit as much as we do.
Yeah.
And they are so upset by it as well, which is why that they are leaking the information that they're leaking to the public. So hopefully by the uproar, it'll help change it.
Yeah. And that is that weird area of, I don't want to support this idea in this company, but there's so many people there that have a heart in the work, and they're on our side, but they have no say in it.
Yeah.
So like to see a ramification of everyone dropping this, to see like layoffs of these like good people that work there, that sucks. But unfortunately, that's part of it. Like, you work for a shitty company at that point.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer.
Yeah, a lot of the quotes, some of them were even in regards to the employees and their feelings about everything. It basically boils down to it's management. It's not the little guy at the company that shows up every day and, ooh, I get to work for Wizards and do D&D creation things. It's people like Chris Cowell, who has allegedly verbally abused employees and thrown things and been violent and hostile, and the other management in HR allegedly didn't do anything about it. It's just so bad.
It sucks, man.
It sucks because it's all these people at the top who just hate everybody below, and they just want what we have.
And we have things like you mentioned Critical Role earlier. Matt Mercer being the DM of Critical Role. He is famous now for doing that.
Yeah.
And he's basically a Wizards employee, but not really, because he can operate under the OGL.
Yeah, he was kind of technically a consultant because he does have a couple of books that are official Wizards canon.
Right.
But they're not published by Wizards.
Right. And a lot of people are upset that he's not being vocal about it, which is, it's weird because, like, yes, he would be a voice that could shut down even more people from going to D&D because he means so much to the community, but he's also got, I mean, his career is D&D.
Well, he does have voice acting roles too. You can't discount that, but now his voice acting, he's very prolific, maybe that's the word in that, but he's known for DMing for Critical Role and Vox Machina, the Mighty Nine, and whatever they're called now.
Something he has done, it's kind of a between the lines thing, but he has liked on Twitter and other social media in general, he has liked so many posts shitting on Wizards for this decision, and that's kind of his way of
that's
not
probably
saying anything.
That's probably legally as vocal as he can get.
Probably
in all honesty.
Especially if he was one of those that ended up having to sign the NDAs, because I mean, if he was one of those,
he would definitely be.
So
yeah, he's one of the top creators.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing about an NDA. You know you're having to sign an NDA over some shit for two reasons. Number one, it's going to be so amazing that it needs to be kept a surprise, and you're not supposed to say anything about it, like what they make the Marvel folks do.
Right, that Tom Holland's so bad at.
The Tom Holland, like, don't tell him anything about who's going to be in what movie. He's like, oh, well, I'm not supposed to say who's in it? But then you've got the other side of the NDA, which is something atrocious. They know it's going to be, it's going to start a fire, and they don't want to have, anybody overreacting before they've got their reactionary shields up and ready to catch the flying fruit.
Right.
They want to be prepared for the backlash as opposed to the backlash just coming the way that it has now.
Right.
And I think that that's the best thing that could happen for it, honestly, because it'd be better to have a little bit of preemptive, like, pushback right now when these things are just leaking, letting these people know before it's taken full-fledged hold, like, this is what you're stepping into.
Right.
Like, this is the reaction. You're already getting to see it. Once you make this confirmed public knowledge and you see the fine print on everything, you're going to have some really, really pissed off people, and you might not have a pot to piss in anymore.
Right. Which is great that it leaked for the players because they have rescinded the 1.1. Like, we don't know how much. We don't know what else they're drafting.
There was a lot of backpedaling.
Yeah.
What did they do? Just say JK LOL?
Pretty much,
yeah.
Pretty much. They went, oh, this royalty thing? No.
No, never mind.
We don't know how that got in there. That wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah. That was probably for something over here we was working on for a different thing. Yeah. And somehow, when I was baking that cake, some of the cayenne pepper from this chili fell in my vanilla cake.
It was
made it spicy and not good.
Oopsie, LOL, JK.
Sorry.
But they have officially on their end rescinded 1.1, and they're working on 1.2, which they said they're going to be in contact with content creators and those 20 big name people that do work, like, that make stuff from the OGL. And for like 2 weeks, they're going to talk with them and try to draft something up different. And when you hear that, it's like, awesome. The fan pushback made a change. And that feels so good to know that being vocal about it and canceling subscriptions and places like Paizo changing, the whole basis of a gaming license, for the community. Yeah. It made a difference. We don't know how much of a difference it'll make, but it made something change. Okay, so at that point, when they're like, okay, just kidding, we're going to work on 1.2, we're going to actually communicate with people that this would affect, mainly affect, and we'll come up with something different. That if they would have stopped there, people would have, clung on a little bit more to the D&D train and kept riding with it to see where it went. But then the company wrote this quote after they had announced that they weren't going to be doing 1.1 anymore and doing 1.2. You're going to hear people say that they won and we lost because making your voices heard forced us to change our plans. Those people will only be half right. They won and so did we.
Why did these people think? Who's their HR?
I don't know.
Who
man.
works in their HR? Is it Toby? Is Toby back there in HR just getting shut up all the time, not getting to do his job?
I guess so, because saying no, you didn't win because we didn't come out with this awful agreement. We're both winning. Like, we didn't lose anything.
Yeah.
And that is so...
That statement alone makes me never want to play that again.
And I think that's what it's going to do. I think just that one sentence, 2 sentences, 3 sentences? 3 sentences.
Those sentences.
That statement is going to solidify people like running away from D&D, because no matter what they do from that point on, you know what their thoughts are behind the process. Yeah. You know that eventually they're going to get what they want, no matter what you want or not, no matter how much money you make them or not. And I hope more than anything, and this sucks to say, but I hope that it kills D&D to an extent.
Yeah, same.
Because they don't deserve to have
Honestly, as much as it hurts me to say, I hope Wizards goes bankrupt.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
And, I mean, like I said, that hurts me
because
like, I love D&D. It's arguably one of my favorite pastimes. I play literally every weekend, and now I'm seeking other because how bad they did me.
Yeah.
Just like we mentioned, Paizo, the makers of Call of Cthulhu. Let me look at the name again because it's a weird one. Chaosium. I don't know their fancy little acronym, but they've also rewritten their things to where, in perpetuity or irrevocably, third-party content creators for the gaming systems that they own, their stuff's protected. They're like, please, make all you want. Happily, get it as widespread as you can, because that's going to make me grow and we're going to grow together. That's awesome that all these other companies are going that route. It just really sucks that we had to see the bad to see the good.
Right. Yeah. It had to get its worst before it got better.
Yeah.
And that does suck, but it's like, people going to these other versions of tabletop RPG, these other systems, the more people that do that, it will make those companies more money, because this is more people experiencing their game. Yeah. And the more feedback those people are giving, now these companies can make 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition of their works.
Call of Cthulhu's on 7th edition.
On 7th edition?
Yeah,
there you
just
go.
throwing that out there.
But now even more, because I think Pathfinder's only on 2. I think they're only on their 2nd edition.
Their 2nd edition came out like 6 years ago.
Gotcha. See, and that's crazy that it can last that long. But now that more people are going to play it, there's going to be even more feedback on their systems. Yeah. And now they can come out with a 3rd edition that everyone's going to go buy, because now the rules have changed and it's better for the players. So everybody's going to buy their source material. And then now all of a sudden you've sold 3 source books to people, 3, players' handbooks, whatever they call them, to the same person. It's the same product, just reworded differently. Right. And you can keep making money this way.
Well, how closely related to D&D is Pathfinder? Because that's the next...
Very close.
Okay, because that's the next worry. Because if Pathfinder now gets more popularity, starts taking away from D&D sales, and the backlash goes, for D&D to not be able to make that kind of money anymore, they're gonna go to court. They're gonna start suing, and Pathfinder's gonna be in that path.
It's not similar enough to be construed as the same system, but a lot of the ideas and a lot of the themes are very similar because they're basically universal themes. We all know what strength is, we know what intelligence is, constitution,
Right.
but some of the mechanics for like skill checks and things are very different. So they're more like cousins than brother and sister.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing that happened with Superman and Shazam, though. I mean, you had two completely separate properties, two completely different power sources, but the similarities were close enough to each other that once the bigger one started having sales impacted by the other one, then the lawyers came out and got to do away with the little guy.
Here's what I'm afraid of all of a sudden, because Austin, you know we have this horrible power.
No, we do.
And you
What have you done?
open your mouth.
I'm sorry, I didn't think about the grape.
If you end up speaking this into being, sir, I'm going to competition slap you in the face. Okay?
I don't
Rescind
need-
it.
I don't-
Rescind your words.
You know
please.
those slap
yeah.
competitions? I'm going to hit
That's
you like
rough.
that in the face.
Pauly
That's rough.
Shore is still
And you know
alive.
you would deserve it.
I just want to throw that out there too. We had said that quite a few episodes back. We were wondering if he was dead. No, Pauly Shore is still alive, and so is Pathfinder, irrevocable in perpetuity.
There we
Perpetually.
It's the same thing.
Forever and ever, amen. We have to layer them all on there, okay?
Did
Cover
you
all the
throw
bases.
Randy Travis in there at the very end just to solidify? Forever and ever, amen.
Woo. And that was Ric Flair.
So I mean, but that's a big thing because that's of the tabletop RPGs. That one is the OG. That's D&D is what has spanned all of this creative content and this basic system of creation that it's had, and it's now it's under fire. It's by itself. Nonetheless.
Yeah, they set themselves on fire, and they expected us to jump on the pyre with them.
It's like the company is trying to commit Sudoku or something.
Yes, and they're trying to line us up behind them with a long enough sword just to get all of us with them. And like originally, we were thinking about going into some other stuff that relates to this, but I mean, we're almost there to the end. So I would like to stay on Wizards with this, with Magic and what has happened there, because we've covered it a little bit. But this, like, people that don't even really play Magic that love D&D are not going to go to Magic anymore, because that's another product of theirs that they have recently just put straight into the trash can and set it on fire.
Yeah.
And what they had done, and I think we mentioned it on the show, but recently what they had done for their 30th anniversary of the game existing, and they even had this special little like YouTube event of them sitting at this little fireside talk of them telling you how excited they were to be able to provide this new product for the fans of the game of Magic. For 30 years of sticking with them and playing this game, they were going to give to the community the opportunity to spend $999 before tax on 4 packs of proxy cards of the first, like, of the beta or whatever of alpha and beta Magic cards, of the first ones that ever came out, that includes something called the Power 9 and stuff. And these cards that they had made back then, there may be a couple reprints of them just between the first few.
They cannot reprint the Power 9.
That they can't now, but wasn't there like the
They,
alpha
they,
and beta?
They attempted
a couple,
to once, and then the original owners of these cards somehow got together and had this lawsuit that now it is written in their bylaws or whatever,
the reserve list.
The reserve list, that exists,
right?
That they cannot ever irrevocably print these,
right?
Otherwise, like, real bad stuff happens. I don't remember exactly what the real bad stuff is, but it's not good stuff.
But the reserve list was made, and this was their way around the reserve list, was making these proxy cards.
Yeah, because you can't use them. You can just look at them.
Right. You can use them at your table, with your friends, but when it comes to actual tournament play, you can't use the cards because the backs of the cards are a different artwork than all the other cards that are made. And the only thing they had to do to get the community so stoked for this thing was to sell the packs for like $4 a piece. Like here's we're reprinting all of these cards we said we would never reprint,
or just print them,
for
the same price as like a pre-con commander deck.
Yeah,
there's so many other ways you could have done it that put it in the hands of the fans.
You can charge a premium, $10 a pack there.
Because the crazy thing is, they're overprinting some cards, like the low-cost cards. They're overprinting them and driving their values literally into the dirt. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, printing less of other ones, like the Warhammer set that come out. You couldn't get a hold of them for a good price. Mm-hmm. People were paying upwards of $300 for a pre-con deck that only had a couple of foils in there. Not even the fancy collector's one, which were the lowest one was going for $250.
Well, they're saying that. That's the thing. Like, the customer-driven market for these things is what drives companies to think that they can have almost a retaliation for themselves. Like they can see how much they were selling them for originally and how much they were going due to fan demand. Now they're taking the things that are the fan demand of the fan demand. Like we'll never be able to afford this. We'll never be able to have these cards or have anything close to them. Oh, but you can.
Yeah.
First, go to the Quick Cash. Tell them that you need a loan for $9. Tell them, go take out a loan that you got to pay you 270%.
Give me your one Bitcoin, because just like some of the IPs that they're putting into Magic, like the Transformers one,
right?
You have to pay for this like collector box. I don't remember what they called it. That contains 20 cards.
It's collector packs.
Yeah, it's a collector pack that they're charging an outrageous price for. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like a couple hundred if I remember correctly
for the box.
For the chance of getting one of them, and for the chance of it.
Yeah. This wasn't a fun game for me either, because when I can remember the day that it happened when they dropped the packs. Dane was in his office. He was sitting at his computer, and I just heard him go. I say, boy,
you just went full foghorn leghorn.
So I said to him, I said, what's going on? He's like, you'll never guess what they're charging for these original cards that they're making proxies of, just for people to have a chance to pull them from a pack. You don't know what they're charging. What do you think they're charging? And I was like, I don't know, what, something super rare and something you can only get, I don't know, $50-$60. He's like, no, a little higher. I'm like, oh man, like $100 for a pack. He's like, nah, you get 4 packs for $999. And I was like, who the hell do these people think they are?
Right.
And it's another situation even behind the 1D&D. The idea behind being able to have players open packs of these cards that they could never touch. Like, you'll never see these things in real life because they're worth so much money.
I saw a Gaia's Cradle one time, and I got...
Those are great.
You saw that when you first got here.
Look, is that what you were doing with your pants down?
Yeah,
I saw your Chad.
You saw my Gaia's Cradle, I tell you. That's what it's called back there.
Totally different spelling, totally different meaning.
So it's this whole concept of, here's a really good thing that we can do for our customers as a thank you, as a way of making our product better, as a way of making their time with that product better. It's taking the idea of that and putting that corporate squeeze on it to where, okay, well, we just took this great idea and made it the worst possible thing that you could possibly get.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to be able to do that. Like, the way they have screwed up with both Magic and D&D, two of the biggest names in nerd culture, period, to be able to screw them up the way they have takes true talent.
It really does. It branched out to so many of their IPs. It is ridiculous. Like, you hit Dragonlance at one point, which it is affiliated with Wizards and all that. Mm-hmm. They're just killing off everything. It makes me want to liquidate everything that I have that I've got from them. By the way, if you would like to buy my Magic collection, minus like 1 or 2 decks that actually have a lot of sentimental value, hit me up. I'll sell them to you on the cheap, bro.
Yeah. I'm the same way, because I was with Magic. I was buying. It got to the point. I think every year maybe they were doing like 1 box every quarter or something, like a new
something
set
like that.
every
It was
quarter.
like a new core set about every quarter. Yeah.
And then it became every month. So where they're putting out a new set of cards
And then it
every
became
single
every
month.
week, and then now it's like every other hour.
Yeah, it got to the point where
They've gotten stupid too. They've gotten just
weird.
dumb. Some of them were cool. Neon Dynasty had some of the
Was
most beautiful
amazing.
land. Had some of the most beautiful land I've ever seen,
And a great set,
really
too.
cool artwork, and it was very different from the norm.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get stuff like the Streets of New Capenna. It's like, oh, cool, I make it a spaghetti. It's just, it's bad. It's so bad. And now they're wanting to bring in Lord of the Rings, which, I mean, I'm not against Lord of the Rings being brought in there. Hey, whatever. I'll play your Hobbit deck.
But it's also,
I mean, I won't now,
Right,
but
yeah.
I would have then.
But it's them just trying, instead of going, okay, here's an IP you all love. You're nerds. You love this stuff. We're going to associate it with this now. So now you can be Gandalf and play Magic with Gandalf.
Yeah.
That's such a cool idea. But what it actually is, it's just ways to get money off of people who are Lord of the Rings fans that don't care about Magic, that want the cool Lord of the Rings thing now.
Right.
It's just money. The idea behind it is great.
And
But it's just money.
And another really dumb thing that they did, they brought the unhinged cards into main canon so you can use them at competitions. And they brought in, now the people who have collector cards and play collector card games, you're going to hate this when I say it, stickers. You can put a fucking sticker on your card that's permanent and it has an effect. So now I don't know. What's a good card all of a sudden? I can't think of it.
Let's go Douthie Voidwalker.
Yeah.
That's a really good card.
Yeah, you can slap a Santa Claus hat on that one, and now it has the power of Christmas cheer. So if you play it, you get a candy cane. And now you play that at tournaments and all your D&D stuff. How do I get this sticker off my card? Oh, it destroys my card? Cool. So now my card is devalued completely.
They said they were supposed to be able
Wizards.
to be made to be able to take them off and reuse them a bunch of times, but they don't work that well. Like they definitely,
It's a sticker.
It's a sticker.
Stickers are sticky. Cards are cards. They're gonna be permanent.
And what was great about that, like you mentioned, Unhinged, like these sets, they were made specifically to just play for fun. They were wacky. They broke the game in half. Like they did crazy stuff. They were made to just have a fun time for what they were.
in and amongst themselves.
Yes, it was its own little separate entity.
Yeah, it was a fun game that used magic mechanics,
which is a great concept, and it worked for a long time.
I've played it. It is
It's fun. But what they did was they go, okay, well, people that play tournament play aren't going to care about this product. We have to sell it to them too. So now we need to take a bunch of these wacky cards that make no sense in the game and make some of them legal. So when you buy a pack of those, you get some that you can play tournament legally and some that you can't. And now what used to be the difference in being able to play one tournament play or not was the border around the card. They used to be silver, and everybody referred to them as silver border. If you have a silver border card, you can't put it in a tournament legal deck. Easy as that. So easy. Instead, now they're all black bordered, which is what all tournament play cards are. And the only difference is there's a little hollow stamp, and when I say little, it's tiny. Tiny. I don't
know
mean to
what you
use that
mean.
word
It
that
is
way.
minuscule.
It's minuscule, and at the very bottom of the card. And if it's an acorn, then you can't play it in tournament play. But if it's an oval, you can.
Yeah.
Why do they hate everything?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They hate me
I don't
specifically.
know. You don't even care about Magic.
No, because here's my thing. As soon as they started screwing with everything as far as the cards go, it ruined a Christmas present gift for me.
you were going to get me some, weren't you?
Because I get dang cards so he can open up packs of cards on Christmas. And then here comes around Christmas 2022, and I say, I'm going to get Dane some cards. And Dane's like, yeah, hey, you better not be going to get me any cards for Christmas because I got myself all the cards I need. Printer sound,
Yes.
printer sound.
That's something. That's what I do now because they tried to sell me $1,000 in proxies. I can make those with my printer at home.
Do you know how many proxies you can make for the same amount of money? All of them.
Probably all of them. I think
All
you can
of
make
them.
every card multiple times.
Every card in existence.
For
many times.
$999 before tax, you can even afford refills on your printer ink.
One, maybe one. But what I did was I got one.
Wait, you don't just throw away the printer and get a new one?
That's the cheapest
It is cheaper.
option.
It is a cheaper option.
We'll get started on that next time.
Stay tuned for our next episode.
Talk about printer cartridges.
For all you Magic players out there that are sick and tired of this too, if you get a printer, it's called an Eco Tank, which is a printer I got. And you can fill the cartridge for the ink is inside the printer. So you buy bottles of ink and you fill those cartridges inside the printer with the bottle of ink. Because when you buy a cartridge of ink, if you were to crack that sucker open, 3/4 of the size of that cartridge is empty space. And the printer ink is just a tiny little part of it.
Little.
It's like Frito-Lay chips.
Exactly. It's the air inside the chip bag. That's what you're getting when you buy those. But if you get an Eco Tank printer, you can just fill that sucker up with ink and you know exactly what you're getting for a cheaper price.
So for no reason at all, how much would one of these printers run?
I think I got mine for like $200.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
I'm not saying I'm in the market for one. I'm just saying I print stickers.
That's a fifth of the price of 4 packs of Magic cards.
Pretty much.
Because I don't play I'm not one of those players that go to tournaments. I'm not good enough for that. I don't know the game well enough for that. I just like to have fun with my friends.
And there'll be a guy take pictures of himself by my BC. I don't want that.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't need that.
Nobody needs a picture of the long haul.
No one needs that. So I was basically I was wanting to do the printer, the proxy stuff anyway, but I stayed with the game because I do like collecting cards. But now the whole spirit of that is it's been destroyed. And why would I do that now? If I want to make decks now, I just go through, pick all the favorite cards that I would want to put in it, and I put them in a 3x3 row on a piece of paper, and I just print them. But what sucks is I believe it's called Card Conjurer. Might have been the one that Wizards recently hit. That website is one to where you can pull up all information from all Magic cards that have ever existed, and you can print them on there. And they make you be able to make custom cards on there. But on every single one of them, at the bottom, it even says not for sale. So this website, every single image that you could make a card with, it would say not for sale on the bottom of it. It's obviously a proxy card. It is not for you to be able to sell as a counterfeit. There's a huge difference between a proxy and a counterfeit.
Absolutely.
A counterfeit is no difference whatsoever visually between that card and a legitimate one.
Yes, and for nefarious purposes.
Yes, exactly. A proxy is an obvious print of a card that you cannot resell for that purpose to try to trick someone. And so this website was adhering to that. They were like, okay, everything that people print with this, it's obvious that they can't sell it. But Wizard, and it operated for years. People have been using this website for years, because what players will do is for a big money deck, they'll proxy those big money decks and try them out first before they actually go buy the cards.
Yeah.
So they can go play tournaments with them. And this site was helping people do that. And Wizards recently did a cease and desist on this website that has been operating with no issue for so long, and it just happened recently around the same time of this $1,000 proxy thing, because now Wizards is like, well, we can sell people proxies, and we need to make sure people can't make their own.
Yeah, and Wizards has been reaching for that money for quite a while now, and they've just now, within the last half a year, has started taking the steps in order to just say, this is our hand. You're going to be, if you're going to be playing this stuff, you're going to have to be used to this reaching in here. This is ours now. Give me those coins.
It literally just occurred to me when you was talking about, proxies and things.
Yeah.
Even if you don't care about any of the Wizards properties that we have already talked about, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, or anything else that may be owned by Hasbro, think about your favorite local game store. What do you think that they run on mostly? They run heavily on the back of Magic the Gathering and 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
So if those two things nobody wants anymore, they have so much inventory that they're either going to have to liquidate just to get rid of, and then they're probably going to go out of business.
Yeah.
So all of these, it doesn't affect just the big guys. It also affects the little guys, like our local card shop. I mean, they have so many Magic cards and Dungeons and Dragons paraphernalia that if all of that goes away, I honestly don't think they're going to survive.
Yeah, and that's Knighthood Games. They're amazing. The guys that work there, you can ask them anything about Magic, and they're going to help you.
One of the owners, Cuban, he has some kind of superhuman power, I've gone in there and I said, hey, I need this card. And he goes, oh, this one right here. And without looking, reaches behind him all the way across the store inside one of the big boxes and pulls out 17 of them and goes, what printing would you like of them? And can tell you without looking at them what they do and what would go good with them. Yeah. It's wild.
And even like you said, and I was wanting to mention that too, like if you don't care about D&D and Magic, think of things that you do care about. If this kind of treatment was being put on those things that you enjoy, that you get to enjoy with others, if it was being treated the way that these products that we're passionate about, like, because Austin, you play D&D, but you have no connection to Magic, but it can get you fired up because you understand what's happening.
I'm all about shouting at injustices.
Yeah.
Especially when it personally affects people that are close to me.
Right.
I am a fan of justice.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm a fan of justice.
And we, the players of these things, are the ones in control of their fate, and they are being reminded of that right now. And they need to continue to do so because we control their fate. They do not control ours.
Absolutely.
We will get this stuff in other ways.
We will still live, whereas your company may not.
Exactly. And I am excited
and that
to take
is a
these
threat.
people down. Exactly. It is a 100% verbal threat.
Like, I'm not going to come burn your building or anything like that. We're just going to stop giving you money, and then we don't have to.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
If you can't afford maintenance on your building anymore, then it's going to fall apart by itself.
Yeah, it
we
is.
don't got to light a fire. Yeah. We just got to not give you any money.
We inadvertently burned it down.
Exactly. With our words and actions.
Burn it down.
So remember how powerful you are as a consumer sometimes. Like it can make a huge difference, and we're getting to watch that happen right now to some things that we love. And we're going to continue enjoying the things we love, whether they like it or not, without seeing a dime from us. And that's exciting. I'm very excited about that. And what's really cool about free things to enjoy, this podcast is one of them.
What?
I know. No one's paying anything for this.
I've been paying $45 a month.
I'm so sorry, Tiny.
To Trudy, that is Austin's wife.
The other Austin, not you.
Not me, not this Austin, but that Austin. Where's my subscription money been going?
I have no idea. I wondered where she gets all that money. I just assume it's because she works full time.
Well, I'm excited to announce we're now joining One D&D, and that $45 is going to be $90 soon, Tiny. So get ready for that.
Am I going to have to unlock each episode for 99 cents, and that monthly fee gives me access to the feed?
Yes. Before you're allowed to talk on the next episode, you got to put $1 into the slot on your chair.
Oh my God! Have we just become OnlyFans?
Yes, we have. Our earlier episodes, you have to pay per segment since we had four segments.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's dollar slots for talking, but but just like OnlyFans, it's not dollar slots. It's just spelled a little bit differently.
Sleuts?
Dollar sleuts.
Oh, listen to these 4 sleuts on Spotify, iTunes, Good Pods, Castbox, blah, blah, blah. There are 5 stars. Click the 5 stars. Tell everybody why you love how much we rant about D&D and Magic and the man. And then tell everybody why you hate the fact that we do that. I don't care. Put 5 stars. It doesn't matter. And then you can go to Redbubble or Teespring, and the links are in the description. You don't even have to go anywhere. You can just go down there and click it. And then you go buy a t-shirt. We just recently got some t-shirts, and they're awesome from Redbubble, and they look great. And they're designs I made. It made me feel really good.
And also, if you'd like to talk to us on social media, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter by looking up at Nerd Grapevine. We were going to talk a little bit about public domain today because that's what all this D&D stuff used to fall under as far as what we were doing with our games and what people were doing with their games and recording it. It all fell under public domain. Something else that just recently fell under public domain that you never knew was a real thing was the actual song, I Scream, You Scream, We All Scream for Ice Cream, which sounds like this.
Says, come on, let's go, though it's 45 below. Listen what those Eskimo all holler. Come on, let's go. I scream, you scream, we all scream, right scream.
And if you'd like to talk about that a little bit, you can get on those websites and send me a direct message. We'll respond. We'll talk a little bit about what we discussed. And if you'd like to donate a little bit to the cause, get on Patreon. Look up Nerd Grapevine. You'll receive a shiny holographic sticker. You'll be admired by the grapes for contributing to our cause. and you'll be able to unlock future content that hasn't graced the ears of anyone yet.
Maybe even video that we're working on.
That's true. A lot of people don't know this, but we are working on some podcast video to go along with what people want to see. I think that these ugly mugs are probably what sells how funny we are half the time. And you haven't got to see us for 100 and something episodes. So actually, you've never gotten to see us, except for that time that I showed what Marcus looked like, looking like a babushka. And that's the most internet engagement I've ever gotten involving the podcast, which is kind of funny. It's also caused me to have a little bit of...
That homeboy on there singing sounded like some kind of devil gremlin.
Oh, the little Eskimo. That's what the Eskimos sound like in this song. It's 1920s, baby. Nobody had PC.
Hashtag not my Eskimos or
Bingo.
Inuit people.
It's like, give me an Eskimo kiss. I give you a kiss.
Yeah, that caused me a lot of discord in my bowel region. You can find us on Discord. There's a link down in the description in what I like to call the crotch box, because that's what they used to call it on YouTube, because if you did a shot from the waist up, it would be at crotch level. So there you go. A little bit of internet trivia for you.
I learned today.
You learned today.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger. So find us on there. We're currently doing a short campaign of a unmentioned RPG. We're going to very quickly move on to something else. Seats for this one have unfortunately closed, but will be announced in the future for the next one. It's free to join, free to play. We just need people to show up and get involved. And we're on there live, uncut, uncensored, and irrevocably circumcised. And since Marcus isn't here, we are also on the YouTubes.
We are.
Get up on the YouTubes and listen to us there too.
We have Grape Flavored Gaming there.
We do, and just all kinds of fun stuff, man.
Tiny, when life gives you grace.
I wanted to say it this time. Plus, I did it last time.
Say it. Do it anyway, Tiny. There are no rules. Marcus isn't here.
When life gives you grape.
I'm going to scream. You're going to scream.
We're all going to scream for grape cream.
Come on, let's
I
go.
scream.
Do
You
it. Put it in
scream.
our
We all
blood.
scream for
Let's
grape
go.
cream.
Holler.
I'm going to
Come on,
give
let's
you
go.
my grape cream.
Cream, we all cream, right?